Hello everyone. Ngayon naman, since we're done with the tutorials about and contact us, so in your brackets on this blank space here, you right click and then choose new file and then name it subscribe.html. Next is just open your index.html and copy all the codes there. And then paste it in your subscribe.html. Next is to delete all these codes. Now we only have our navigation for our menu and then our footer. Next is after this closing header tag and before the opening footer tag, you add a section tag with an ID of subscribe-section. Inside the section tag, you add a form since we will add a subscription form here. So we'll add the form tag with an action of hash for now and then method equal to hash as well. So since nagde-design lang muna tayo, we will just use the hash symbol for these attributes here. We will use this one. Let's say pag natuto na kayong gumawa ng server-side programming like PHP, pwede na nyo na itong lagyan ng ibang value. So action attribute is used to specify where the form data is to be sent to the server after submission of the form. So this could be another HTML file or pwedeng sa file mismo na to, yung subscribe.html. While itong method na attribute has two values, namely get and post. This is used to specify the HTTP method used to send data while submitting the form. Again, matutunan nyo how this one works pag alam nyo na paano mag-program using PHP. Next is under this form tag, let's add a heading 1 tag and then with a text of subscribe. So as you can see, nasa preview siya. Sa baba nito, let's add an input tag. So when you say input, as you can see sa preview, it's a text box kung saan makakapag-input ng data yung website visitors nyo. So that's for the input. There are a lot of types for the input. For this one, we will use text type equal to text. So again, the input tag or element is used to create interactive controls for web-based forms in order to accept data from the user. So there are a lot of input types like button, checkbox, date. So for this one, we will use the input type text. It's a default value. This is a single line text. This accepts any characters, letters, or numbers. Then we have an ID equal to name since we will accept the user's name here. And then name attribute is equal to reg underscore name with the placeholder equal to name. So when we save and refresh, itong nakasulat dito, that's the placeholder na value. So let's say, edit natin to. magre-reflect din dito sa input box natin. So ID is for identifying this input text, and name specifies the name of that specific element. This is used to reference elements in JavaScript or to reference the data kung gagamit na kayo ng PHP. So this is our code for this specific input box. Ganito lang muna yung itsura niya kasi dadagdagan natin ng CSS niyan later. So let's copy this line of code here and then paste it below. For the input type, let's use the email. While I'll remove this full word here. And then the ID for the second input is email. The name is reg_email. And the placeholder is also email. So when we save and preview, ito na yung itsura ng form natin. Let's add another one. Again, don't forget yung type. There's a lot of types para sa input na tag. I will write in the description box sa reference ng list for further studies. Change the type into number. Ito naman, tatanggap siya ng number sa text box natin with an ID of phone, name with reg_phone, and the placeholder of phone number. Next one, let's add a text area. So ito namang text area has multiple rows kung kailangan mo ng mas mahabang input from the user. So as you can see sa preview, mas malaki siya and you can also adjust. It means nag-a-adjust siya based on the input na nilagay. So itong text area, we will have a type equal to text and an ID equal to address and a name equal to address as well, to reg_address, and the placeholder equal to address. So now we have input box for the name, email, number, contact number, and address. As you can see, since naka-number type itong para sa phone number, it has this additional buttons here para makapagpili ka ng numbers. But this one, since phone number yung kailangan natin, pwede ding mahabang input or mahabang list of numbers. Or you can also use text for this one kung gusto nyo mag-add ng area code like with the use of plus symbol. So, depende sa inyo yan. After the closing text area, let's add a label with the text of gender, colon. Ngayon naman, we will add a radio button for the selection of gender, male or female. So, after this label, let's add a div with an ID of radio buttons. And an input type of radio. Close the tag. So, ito yung itsura ng radio button. Next is, let's add an ID of female. And the name equal to reg_gender. And a value equal to female. Next, let's add a label with the 4 attribute equal to female. And with the text of female as well. Then close the label. So itong for attribute means na pag sinelect itong label na to, yung input na radio button which has an ID of female ay masiselect din. For this code, kahit na si user ay nag-select dun sa radio button mismo or sa text na female, masiselect pa rin yung radio button na yan. So that's the purpose of the for attribute. So as you can see sa preview, pag tinake ko yung word, masiselect din yung radio button. So let's copy these lines of codes here and we'll create for the male. So change the ID into male and the value into male and same with the for. Then change the label into male. So now we have two radio buttons for the male and female. Itong for means pag select ko yung male na word, masiselect din yung radio button na yan. So, tatanggalin ko yung for na attributes ng both input type, radio, save and refresh. When I click on the name or the text, hindi nagsiselect yung radio button. But instead, dun ka mismo sa button magkiklik para maselect siya. Pwede naman ganito, gagana naman yung radio buttons kahit wala itong for na attribute. But para maging user-friendly yung website nyo, mas maganda na maglagay kayo ng for attribute para mas madali nang i-select yung radio button. So I will undo. So ito namang name equal to reg gender. As you can see, parehas sila ng value. So papalitan ko yung sa male na name, okay? Lalagyan ko ng 1. So anong mangyayari when we save and preview? Silang dalawa ay pwede mong maselect. So, wala namang gender na parehas na male o female. So, dapat either lang sa kanila, di ba? So, dapat isa lang yung masiselect na radio button. So, yan yung purpose bakit dapat parehas yung name ng dalawang radio buttons. If you wanna add more choices dito sa radio button na to, just make sure na pare-parehas sila ng name para isang radio button lang ang masiselect. So, clear po ba? After our div closing tag, let's add another label with the text of favorite tutorials. And then after the label, let's add another div with an ID of check boxes. Oops, wait. Sumobra yung equal sign ko. So ID equal to checkboxes, and then inside this div, I'll just copy this here. Paste ko dito kasi medyo parehas lang sila ng code. Just change the type into checkbox. So as you can see, in checkbox is kanyan. Literal na checkbox. So an ID of HTML, CSS. So dito maglilist tayo ng mga tutorials para pwede makapagpili yung user kung ano yung mga tutorials na gusto niya or favorite niya. So an ID of HTML, CSS and a name of HTML, CSS. And then a value of HTML, CSS as well. For the for attribute, change it to HTML CSS and the text into same HTML, and don't forget to use the entity CSS. So when we click on the text or in the checkbox itself, that specific input type is selected. So let's copy these codes here. Make sure na input at label lang, hindi kasama yung closing div tag. Then just change the ID into Java, name in value into the same value, and value attribute into Java as well. And the for attribute Java, and then the text into Java programming. Paste another one and then just change the ID, name, value, and for into SQL. And then the text for the label is MySQL and access. So this is our third checkbox. So tatanong kayo, ano yung difference ng radio button at checkbox? So technically, si radio button, isa lang yung pwedeng maselect sa choices na nilagay. So like male and female, either lang yung masaselect. But when it comes to checkbox, pwedeng lahat pwede mong iselect or pwedeng iselect ng user mo. So yan yung difference ng dalawa. Then paste another one, change the ID, name, value, and for into PHP. And the text into PHP programming. Paste another one and then change again the ID, name, value, and for attribute into C++. While the text for the label is C++ programming. Paste another one and then again, so paulit-ulit lang yung gagawin natin dito. We'll just change the values sa mga attributes natin. So for this one, let's change the ID, name, value, and for into video, and the label value into video editing. Let's paste another one, change the ID into JS, same with the name, value, and for attribute, and the label text into JavaScript programming. And so now we're done with our checkboxes. Next is to add a button. So after this div closing tag, you add an input with a type of submit and a value of subscribe. So when we save and refresh, now we have this button here. So again, hindi pa siya gumagana kasi wala pang server-side code. So our form looks like this muna for now kasi wala pa tayong nilagay na styling. Pero this is how you create a structure sa form nyo. Here you learn how to add a text box using the input element. Also a text area, radio button, checkbox, and a submit button.